Hello, everyone. I'm here today to talk to you about movies defying logic. I'm here again in a generic background of a movie poster, talking to you about movies defying logic. Why? Because movies still baffle me to this day. So I have to say something about them. I have to mention something that still is just within my realm of just not understanding what the heck is still going on in movies. I still don't know. I still don't understand. And so hopefully somebody could finally put to rest some things that have been bugging this guy for a very long time. And I don't know why I have to touch my face so frequently right now. It's bizarre. It's very bizarre. Kind of like this background. Kind of like this background. Why am I having a very generic background in this video? It'll make sense later on. It'll make sense. Believe me. Probably won't, but it might. You never know. So let's gonna go. Let's mention for you down below. There's a link in the description if you like any one of my videos. If you like any of them, more than just hitting that like button, you can you can donate. Donate to the channel. You can do that if you like. You can donate $1 or a dime. Just any spare change you have hanging around right next to your downstairs business. Any of that change that's or maybe the paper kind or any of the ting 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 kind, you can donate to the channel. $1 or a dime can donate any time. There's no tier. There's no holding any content hostage. There's no phone call that you're gonna get saying, "I have your wife," and then you're just like, "No, no, how?" Yeah, that kind of hostage. Moving on, because you know there's a link down below for you guys to go and donate if you like, but you don't have to. But I appreciate it. Because maybe somebody likes one of the videos I do. You never know. You never knew. But let's go on to why I say movies defying logic, because I'm going to have bullet points from a magazine paperish thing. I'm going to have bullet points. I'm going to be talking about them that have been baffling me over time. If anything, these bullet points don't have my jokes, so that's why this all works so well. Really, it does. Alright, so I'm going to showcase, if I haven't showcased a bajillion times by now, what I'm talking about. I'm going to give you a generic kind of way of saying things, and then I'm going to go into rant. And that's what everything goes. Down below. In the comments. For you to just be like, huh? He said this? And I was like, yeah, I feel that same way too. Or dot to dot dot dot. Any way that you feel about any of these things, write down below. Maybe it bugs you too. I don't know. Let's start this by saying, no. All powerful, meet my kids. You know when a character says they're all powerful? Yes, I am the most powerful being beyond earth and space and time. But they have minions show up all the time. You know how stupid it is when a character is just like, yeah, I'm all powerful, and yet every single time they send somebody else out besides themselves to fight something, it doesn't make sense. Power Rangers have been doing it for years, but when it comes down to it, in the 2017 movie, Rita actually fought the kids, what actually made sense for once. Anyways, when you have like Ultron, he said, yeah, I'm the most powerful being. I have strings. You can't see me. Look at me. I'm just all delicious. And then he has all these like Ultron minions that completely get annihilated. Because it's not the same as big fat steroid Ultron, which happens later on in the film. But anyways, even Thanos in Avengers Endgame, freaking annihilates the Avengers Mansion. This has come out a very long time now. I can say stuff about the movie. It's okay now, I think. People haven't seen this movie now, it's on you. Anyways, Thanos is sitting in front of the Avengers Mansion to whatever the heck it is, whatever that one side area is that they had used in some of the shows and some of the other movies, whatever the heck. Not the tower thing, but just the little bunker, weird hangar place that they have all the people that hang out at places. Anyways, moving on. Thanos is just sitting there, just kind of like, yeah, Nebula and Gamora, get me my gauntlet, give me my glove, love, so I can freaking just annihilate these people. Even Thanos is just sitting on his butt while other people are doing his work for him. And then it takes him forever to get that gauntlet. Just like, I'm inevitable. Yeah, you and 800 other people that have to be around you at all times to take out the Avengers. He never does his job, even when he says, yeah, I'm gonna put it in, like, I'm gonna do this myself. And then he sends his kids. He sends his kids to go for the stones when he says that he was gonna do it himself. Does that make sense to anybody? No, it doesn't. I'm gonna do this myself, but I'm gonna send people because I'm still a douche. God, that was pretty funny. You gotta admit it. You gotta admit it was pretty funny. You gotta admit it. Anyways, moving on. Giant, loud, monstrous creature that anyone could hear from a bajillion miles away. You know what? You know what would make sense? If there's a gigantic monster that is super effing loud, because when I hear gigantic monster coming, man, does that just, God, freaking, like, because I have to have, like, for when I watch movies on my TV, I have to have my earphones, like, forcibly loud, because, like, it's just so hard to, like, tweak them just right and whatever and just get the right sound. So it ends up getting, like, to where I'm having them really loud. And then when I'm hearing sounds and movement, I'm like, "Bah!" I get scared by them just because the sound is coming so loud through the ear thingies, the headphones. So, because I have to have it forcibly loud, because heaven forbid, like, I have to really tweak my headphones to get the right certain sound, because otherwise it doesn't come on one headphone or whatever, and yeah, it's just an arduous process. It's arduous. But, you know what? With this big, huge, loud, monsterishly poopy bear monster that I saw on the prophecy once, large poop bear monster, poop bear, half poop, half bear, poop bear monster. You would think throughout this entire movie, if you don't see the monster, you could at least hear him. That would make so much sense. If you cannot see this monster, you should consistently see him having an aftermath through the time that you're going through this movie. You should see a giant aftermath of this monster. If you can't see him, you should be hearing the sound of him from a distance, consistently. Man, whenever I would finally get to actually see the monster in the movie The Prophecy, which I bootleg watched it on YouTube because I couldn't find it anywhere else. I watched it, and an hour in this movie, which was, oh my god, what a process. Waiting an hour for a monster, or maybe like an hour and a half movie, and barely in the last 30 minutes you're seeing the monster in the movie. You're seeing the creatures in the film like 30 minutes after. Pow! I hate that. I hate that. Can we stop that? Everybody is living in the aftermath of Jaws, but good God, can we move from that where we are finally seeing a monster right away in a film? Have it, if you can't use the monster right away in the movie, which is pretty cut and standard because it seems like they run with this movie and they run to whoever to create this monster. You know what? Have the very first scene legitimately full throttle have this monster. Wait till the end of this as I'm doing some kind of weird phrasal weird what am I doing with my hand? Have the monster. What am I doing with my hands? Have the monster. Wait to do the very first scene. Wait to do it. And till that monster is good and ready. Do that first scene when that monster is ready. And then, first scene of the horror movie, you see the monster right effing away. And then you'll just be like, I'm intrigued for the rest of this movie. No matter how crappy it is. Wouldn't it make sense? Wouldn't it make sense to have a huge engulfing picture of this monster in the first part of the film? And then after that, you can spend an hour, spend 30 minutes, spend however long doing F all. And then you can get back into showing the monster again. But it doesn't make sense to just kind of like, yeah, we're not showing a monster until the hour of the movie. So this movie is irrelevant until an hour in. Yeah. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. You could even do it as a time lapse thing. Cuz some movies do time lapses. I hate it. It's annoying, but like sometimes it is effective. Sometimes it is effective. Like if you're showing a distant future thing, and then you're gonna get me all excited, and then it's like 30 years earlier. It's like, oh no! like, those scenes kind of tick me off, but the time lapse scene kind of works when like it's you desperately wanting to showcase something, and then eventually you're gonna get back to it later on in the movie. It makes perfect sense. Moving on. Background movie posters. I guess you guys probably would never think that this is a background from a pretty high kilter movie. You wouldn't think of it, would you? No, you probably wouldn't. Because you wouldn't know what the movie's about. Would you probably think it's Halloween? Friday the 13th? Probably not. Because it looks like not a campgrounds. Would you think that it's Jurassic Park, one of the Jurassic Park movies? Maybe I'm doing a filter. Maybe confuse people. No. Would make sense, right? Would make sense. Yeah, it's just... Why have it be the selling point of the movie being a slap of a word on a background? It makes no sense. It honestly just kind of didn't really make sense for like even Zombieland. Like the main attraction of the thing Zombieland was, yeah, the trailer was bomb. It was awesome. It was lit, but like the whole like the like destroyed Earth, and then you would just have like Zombieland. Like that doesn't really tell me what's going on. Like, yeah, you can like say Zombieland all you want, but like there's so many movies that say The Terror. And what showcases that? What showcases in this environment what's going on? I had a movie called like just show like a mountain. Just show a mountain. And the movie's called like The Cave. I'm sorry, couldn't you have showed what's going on in the mountain? Maybe shown a part where this person is is kind of like rope and tie in the cave, and then monster is right here going. Wouldn't that be a big selling point than just like showing a picture of a mountain? Kind of like in the early parts of bizarrely every 80s movie you've ever seen in your life. Or 90s movie, maybe, quite possibly, whenever that kind of tail end of that finally just stopped doing that garbage, where they would. If a movie's done in New York, you have to see the entire scenery of New York. It's bizarre. Hey guys, this is Jason Takes Manhattan. I'm going to show you a picture of Manhattan, just in case you weren't aware of what it looked like. I'd like to see Jason actually in Manhattan killing someone. That'd be great. That'd be great. I don't even remember how that actual poster goes, but at the end of the point, it wasn't like menacing enough. It wasn't menacing enough for Jason Takes Manhattan, because that was a real off-kilter movie. Jason goes on a boat. Great. Finally, he's getting away from the camp. He's killing people on a boat. Then he goes finally on Manhattan, like an hour and a half after the movie's freaking been over, and then finally gets to Manhattan. Wow, great. Change of pace. Change of pace. But yeah, it's just, you have bland, boring backgrounds on a movie that is horror. Is like horror and action, there's some kind of like adrenaline thing that you should like showcase right away. You should have some, like, even the Saws kind of fell victim to this, where it was just kind of like it would just be like Saw, and it would just be like a foot that was chopped off, or you'd see like this blade that had blood on it. What bland, generic freaking visuals that you could show me? You know what would have been great for a visual to showcase on these movies? Where the one girl had the helmet and it was on a timer, man, and have her face in the movie and then just say Saw. Like, that would have sold the film. Like, I think in the video game they actually had the Jigsaw, like, scary monster whatever thing, the puppet thing. And they had Saw on that. That actually made sense. I was like, that's good. That was good. That was a good thing to do. Even though, like, Saw, what the heck is going on in that? If you've never seen Saw the movie, and you're just seeing a freakishly looking face, and you have no clue what that's about. I saw a movie, and that's what it was. Yeah, let's move on. Nothing goes right the first time. You know what? There's probably one exception to this. It's Hitch. The Will Smith movie Hitch. Where at the end of the movie, like the date with the girl in the movie, I think her actual actress's name was Eve or something like that. Because my life becomes a blur at some point after 8,000 movies that I've seen through my life. They go, and of course, like, everything turns out spectacularly well until Will Smith gives a person a showcasing of their history that goes horribly awry. Like, yeah, that's like a really bad first impression, but it's not their fault. But why is it that, like, I don't know, for a lot of date movies, everybody puts their best foot forward a lot of the times. Like, you'll see a lot of date movies where everybody's first date is just swell. And, like, it's not awkward as F at all. Like, all of a sudden, like, the first date with this person, they'll just be talking about all these things and just, yeah, I just want to be so intrigued with you and everything like that. And every word that you've ever wanted to hear in a fantasy book is coming to life right now on screen. You know what? I really like your eyes and this and that. And the mischievous fortitude of which we could go through our lives together. I'd hope for more. The girl's like, yeah, me too. All Shakespearean and crap. Not like anything ever resembling anything in real life. And then this girl is just like calling her gals after the whole date's over. She's like, "Yeah, he's the best date I've ever had." Why is it everyone like not like him and blah blah blah? Like a lot of times, a lot of guys f up the first date, and then kind of have to rebound and just like, well, do you want to do this again, kind of thing. Like, there's a lot of times where like the date should not have been profound as it should have been in movies, but then the girl is still just like, ah, hmm, I'm fantasizing about this guy. Like the movie, like the movie or the show or the whatever. Like the first date will just be like the blandest thing that you could possibly do in your life. It should make sense that this girl is just gonna like, yeah, I'm gonna remember this forever. It's gonna be the greatest thing. I can see us having kids together. Unless this kid is just uberly attractive, and then I can understand that because it's a movie and or show, and just it doesn't matter that this kid or just like whatever date we kind of had, it was just I wanted him, I wanted him, I wanted the shillelagh of life with him, the shillelagh of life, whatever that means. Moving on, because yeah, like here's an analysis that meets pretty well. I used to do a job like people, and I used to like give people gigantic items that I would never want to retake and put back into my store because they were freaking heavy as F. I would go give these people these things, and then surefire enough, most of the time, these people would come at like the opening of the store, like right around when we opened. And then like 30 minutes, probably less, right before the store closed, they would come back. 3 people that came when we opened are coming back when the store is almost closing. And they're all coming back and they're all returning something. And I'm just like, well, why? Just wondering, just interested. Oh, well, my cousin's brother's nephew's wife's children's grandfather said that they didn't like the color. Shouldn't you have realized and probably called everybody you knew that probably is living in your house because of a color or something? Maybe it's even cheaper than anything else that's in the store. But no, it's white. I wanted black. Wouldn't you assess with somebody the color of scheme of something before you would go into a store? Whatever you buy, make sure it's black. Because I have a whole entire room that is painted completely black. And I don't want the change of all that black to be white. No! Color schemes. I never understand color schemes. If anything, I can buy these things called paint. Wax on, wax off. Repaint the thing. Or just be fine with a bizarre looking color. But these people return this thing, and it's a burden to freaking get out of the car because, one, they probably didn't take it out of the box at all, which is 80% of the time. And then, or they did take it completely out of the box and they just took it apart in like a bizarrish way where I'm just like, oh my god, this is such a burden. And it's just, I'm sure it was probably just like they started putting together and they realized how much work it was, and they're just like, nah, maybe not today. And then they just like returned it. Or they're like, yeah, I'm not gonna get this patio. I'm not gonna get this patio set. I don't want to put the work in assembling this. Can we just hire somebody to assemble it, which they ask 80 times? Can we just call somebody to have this assembled at our house? What is it? A fridge? Pretty much comes out of assembly. Whatever. It is what it is. Background movies. Yeah, I already mentioned that. Background movie scenes. Yeah, there we go. That's where I was getting to. You know what? You know what is always memorable in my life? When, instead of actually getting a meat of the subject for me in my life, what I'm going to remember, I'm always going to remember that long stretch of hallway that I had to walk to get anywhere. I'm going to remember me. I'm gonna in the Incredible Hulk show. You know what I'm always gonna remember? The Incredible Hulk guy at the end of every show. I'm not gonna remember anything about that show, but I'll remember that Hulk would just hitchhike to sad music. I'm not gonna remember any single thing about the show besides that hitchhiking. Most of the time that is actually true, but showcasing that for like a end credit scene actually legitimately makes sense. If you actually put it in a game and you actually make it a part of a game, it doesn't make sense. That's what I always like. I always would say, like, get to the point. Because people are never going to remember in a game how many hallways they had to walk through, how many elevators they had to go up in, how many stairs they had to walk through to get to said boss person. It's kind of like Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters, they didn't showcase them going up 80 bajillion flights of stairs. No. Basically, once they found out the elevator was broken, you start seeing them climb up the stairs, and then there's a shot of them getting halfway through there and then them moaning and groaning about it. And then there's another shot of them finally getting to the stairs and them still complaining about it and moaning and groaning. Even like that, I would never have that legitimately as a focal point in the movie, but evidently they thought it was funny. But yeah, like scenes like that in real life, you quickly forget about. Like if anything, it's always the main goal you remember. But to focal point showcase that on a game and or movie and or whatever or show, it doesn't make sense to focal point on that. It doesn't make sense to focal point on that. It just seems like a waste of time. It just seems like, man, we really needed to eat time here. If there's no character development at all, it makes no sense. Like there was one point where one of the girls on Glow was just kind of up and down walking a flight of stairs and then meets a character and then they go and they walk up and down flights of stairs. But there's character development after that because like this person is just like realizing, oh, hey, you're using the stairs like I do, so let's talk and blah, blah, blah. And then there ends up getting character development by the end of this thing, but it just seemed like a waste of time, but it is what it is. Um, but yeah, it's just like background movie scenes where you're just kind of like they have to stereotypically in the beginning of a movie like watch a guy just be walking in a desert road or see like a car just be like driving down a deserted road as if to tell you how this movie's gonna go. No, it really legitimately feels like eating a boatload of time. Is the movie gonna be about a car? No. Driving? No. What's the movie about? Oh, the movie's about vampires. Huh? Perfect example, the movie Forsaken, which honestly is a very vague movie that honestly doesn't tell you what's going on in the movie. It has to kind of like sell the point of what the movie is by other means. There's a lot of just like a guy that is just driving through this just deserted area. And then eventually he picks up a hitchhiker. And then they just kind of meet and they kind of do things and then they fight vampires, sure enough, in this movie. And yeah, it just like what was the point of so much driving through a deserted place to end up finding a place to do your vampire slaying thing? And none of this vampire stuff conflicted with you really realistically driving through these places. It makes no sense. It doesn't. Moving on. Women are very hard to kill. They are. Just so you know, just so you're aware, just so you're abreast of that. I mean, aware of that. I mean, women are hard to kill in movies, especially horror movies, but probably any other movies because they have diamond hard skin. Allegedly, I don't want to say that because I don't want people to test that theory and blame me. But I don't know what it is. Women are just so strong and have soft skin and anyways, moving on. But and I have to say but and I hope this does not make me sound sexist. I just want to understand something from the thought process of movies. Why is it that when you get a group of women and it's all just a group of women in one movie, like a slumber party, sorority row, whatever movie, that the entire thing is a group of women in one environment, why is it then all of a sudden do we still cater to the fact of a goodwill person? Should it not matter who ends up living and dying at a group of women environment movie? Why is it always still they're rewarding good behavior? Man, if that girl in a horror movie with a group of girls survives this environment, man, she should just become a nun after that. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Because women, like, the entire group of women should live then. Yeah, we always get it. There's always just this overly slutty girl, but, like, in the realm of sluttiness, like, the layers and layers of sluttiness, really, when it comes down to it, like, hadn't every single one of those girls probably at some point in their life probably done something slutty, you know what I'm saying? Eventually. When every single one of them probably wearing the same kind of very skimpy clothes or cleavage showing things and whatever. But reward for good behavior makes no sense. Reward for good behavior, sure. But when it comes down to it, there's and sometimes there it's kind of funny because it just seems like there's a bullseye thing for men in horror movies. It's like, I gotta take him out first. Plow. Because 80% of the time, probably more than that, like, all men in movies are either killed all right away, or you have the guy that gets probably mysteriously killed continuously where you would think he was dead. Then he miraculously comes back and like, I'm not dead yet, and then just and then kills the killer. What a coincidence! He kills the killer. If only he would have done that like 2 hours ago, we would have saved us some time. We would have saved us some time, or an hour and a half, however long movies you guys been doing lately. However long you guys been doing for movies. Somebody's watching an 88-minute movie. The killer will probably show up 20 minutes. at the 88 marker of that movie. You'll just be like, mother, are you kidding me right now? You kidding me right now? But yeah, like, there's some movies that are awfully displayed. I guess awfully clickbaited movies is what I could say here. Because there's sometimes where it's an alien race and like the poster of the movie says like this is a blue skinned skeleton looking character. When you go on the movie, the killer is a axe to a door, a shotgun. And you never see the killer once. You never see the killer at all. It's like the thought of the killer. You have to show a killer in this movie, but what is it? I don't know what it is. I guess it's an axe or a shotgun. This must be a ghost. I don't know. I can't see the killer. You might as well have made this movie a ghost movie instead of a monster movie. It would make more sense. It would. But yeah, like women are just so hard to kill just because they're beautiful. Like if anything, I think all the monsters just get hypnotized by the beauty of the woman. And at the end of the day, like the guy should just like, yeah, woman, go out there and distract him for like a couple seconds. Like talk to him. Like he won't kill you, and then I'll just come up behind him with a weapon, and we'll just save an hour and a half of this film going out. That should be the go-to strategy. Because if you have a virgin in the group, immediately that should be their first thing. Oh, this is a horror scene environment. Who's a virgin? Show of hands. All right. You're going to be the decoys because you're going to live. And all these people that have done some things, that have seen some stuff. We're going to be the people that are just going to go and just kill some people. Just go and just kill them. Kill the monster. We'll save an hour and a half of this film. We'll save it. We will. Nobody does that. No one ever does it. Moving on. Luckily, you're immune. Luckily, you have an immunity. Thank God. There's always somebody in a movie that has this bizarrish, ancient gene passed down from generations to generation that's just immune to a zombie bite or a vampire stab in the neck. Oh, I didn't become a vampire weirdly. Oh no. Man, why is it that like I can understand if there was like a generation of people just consistently killing werewolves. And then there's some bizarrish gene where they have like immunity to like a werewolf bite where they don't turn. Then I can understand that because they've been in the thick of the blood of werewolves and what have you. Like the werewolf blood has been like inside their generation because maybe like they had their mouth open, and they killed the werewolf, and werewolf blood got in there, got inside of them. Then it makes sense. Can we finally understand that? Where it's just like, okay, well, like, if somebody kills a zombie and blood just splatters, like, all over their face, shouldn't they be infected? Shouldn't they get infected? Shouldn't that make sense for once? It doesn't. The guy just wipes it off, and it's just like, yeah, that's Tuesday. I'm gonna lick my lips now. Yeah, 'cause zombie infection. I'm immune now. With that blood spray, man, thank God I'm immune. Bizarrely enough, I'm gonna keep licking my chops to get some more blood in my life. Like at the end, with some of these, it's just like, well, the zombie infection, like The Walking Dead, it's like everybody once they die, they can turn, but they all have the zombie blood within them, or whatever garbage that they try to spew in that show. It was a good show, but after a while, it's kind of lost its luster. Can we really say that at this point? But yeah, like Underworld, when like you couldn't just like get like a certain ancestorish person that has had been with the clan McLeod, whatever person. You had to get like a specific guy that's like, no, his genes have to be perfect to be vampire and werewolf. You know how I can make a vampire and werewolf? You just, and and then you just take a bite, and then just, yeah, werewolf vampire. But no, that's not evidently how it works in Hollywood. But yeah, you just have people with the just coincidentally the most bizarre immunities you can ever come up with. Bizarre. As if they have a secret amulet on them at all times. Just wears them out of all kinds of, like, it comes down to an eye color. An eye color could save somebody's life. Yes, you remind me of Susan. How do I remind you of Susan? Susan had green eyes. You have green eyes. Oh, thank God. I'm saved for the day because I have green eyes. Thank God. Whew. I have blue, so I'm effed, but it is what it is. If only I had green eyes like Susan did. If only I could have lived. I could have lived. But no. I have to die because I don't have green eyes, bizarrely enough. I have some luckily immunity that is making me kind of like in First Class where like Xavier was hitting on all the women that had some kind of like bizarrish mutant gene that he could like scientifically, mathematically tell him. You have aberchromium hair. That's a mutation. It's very groovy. As you try to sleep with every woman that you could possibly have, but he wasn't doing that in the other movies. Just gave it up. Started drinking alcohol in a school, which in X2 you should never do. But it's okay in the early stages of that school. Anyways, moving on. 85 monsters show up at once. I've kind of mentioned this where it's like you have about a bajillion zombies all show up in one environment, luckily enough. It's like they choreographed and timed this all. Like, hey, let's all go to the soda shop. Yeah, I'm having a craving for soda. I mean flesh. Yeah, let's all go. Let's all, yeah. Left, go right. Like, it makes no sense. Why is it that all these people choreographic, all these monsters are just like, yeah, soda shop, everybody. Let's all 30 of us go to the soda shop. Like we all met through this neighborhood and we're all just gonna high five. Yeah. Let's all go get them. Let's all go get them. Like, there was one movie where I saw that some, like, monstrous creature died at the end of the movie, and then a bunch of other monstrous creatures were all gonna get their revenge because one person in their lively stock of whoever just died. It's as if they had some kind of like homing beacon on this one thing, and like a death of one matters to them. So like, boop, boop. I think Steve's dead. Yeah, should we get revenge on the people that killed Steve? Well, yeah. Can we do that like right away though? Like like Survivor comes on at like 7, so we really gotta rush this. You know what I'm saying? We gotta rush it. All right, let's go. Let's seek our revenge. As if every animal and every monster and every creature has just this like feeling that one of their own just died, so they gotta go after and like, yeah, I have vengeance. I have vengeance on my mind. Kind of like when all the other like shark movies, you'd get like the megalodon baby of megalodon person, and they're coming after the person that like was after in the first one or what. It was just like there was some whale movie where like some whale got killed, and it was the kid of the whales, and the whale just went after the like the main guy, but then he went after like his daughter and like his family and everything like that, and then the guy was just so heartbroken, and at the end of the movie he was in like an iceberg some freaking where, and it was like, yeah, he went after everyone in my family because I went after his child or her child or whoever the f. It's a long movie. It was a boring movie, but it was interesting. But it was kind of cool. But it was kind of boring. But it was kind of it was kind of what it was. Moving on, because it's just so bizarre that like this like I like it when like one zombie is in one environment and it's like makes sense. But then all of a sudden, 20 seconds later, you see 8 zombies in one room coming after people. Why? As if they plan this out. Let's have 100 people all be in a room. And no one can easily just, like, as they come through the hallway, just. Hey, these are all dead. Yeah, yeah. We're killing them all. It's all going down. It's awesome. Moving on, because that's so ridiculous. How there's like a homing beacon on if somebody dies, everybody seeks revenge on the one person that dies in their group. It's bizarre. History with troublemakers. You know what? Why is it in every troublemaking movie, like school stuff like that, where, or just like, it just seems like every environment in a movie is like Cheers, where everybody knows your name, everybody knows your backstory, everybody knows everything about you. You know what? When people in schools would get in trouble, I got in trouble probably once. Yeah, I did. Yeah, and I did. I was in trouble. I got in trouble because I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do a certain class, but I was stuck in the class. I'm just like, I never wanted to do this class, but they were forcing me into doing this class. And I didn't want to do this class anymore. I just wanted to be done with it because I hated this class. But surefire enough, luckily they were kind of giving me the out and I passed the class. And I never did another kind of one of these classes ever. I avoided it like the end of the earth was coming to the next day. Saying, no, I'm not going to do that class. You're not going to, because they would put me in classes. They would forcibly put me in classes. And then they'd be like, oh, are you fine about this? And I went to my like guidance person, and I'm like, no. If in my history of writing and saying what classes that I want, this was never one of them. Never. Look at my history of times you can see the book of me. I've never gone into one of these classes before. I've never like had an itch, a scratch, just like, yeah, I really want to apply for this class. But you forcibly put me in there, and I hated it. I loathed it, and I was just like, I just want to be done with it because I was just ugh. And then they were gonna try to put me in like other things that I had no interest in doing. Like, how about you do woodshop? I don't want to do woodshop. I didn't want to do this. Why would I want to do woodshop? I was never that kind of person that wanted to do small gas engines and woodshop and stuff like that. No! I wanted to do art. I wanted to do something that involved some kind of something that any normal like kind of person, because like if anyways like woodshop and small gas engines, it's like, yeah, this is a bunch of like because I was a very visual person, so I was like, yeah, and this is gonna become a whole story about me, and I don't want it to be, but yeah, I was just kind of like, okay, here's a bunch of words, and I'm like, I don't understand what these words mean at all. And like these words were telling me to do something. And I'm just like, I don't understand what this is. I don't understand. Like, I'm a person that if you give me a visual representation, point it out to me, and say, yeah, move this here with this thing, I will understand. But when you have a load of words, which they did all the time, those kind of classes, which I hated and loathed, because they wouldn't have a visual representation. It would always just be, yeah, just here's words, figure it out. So they would have schools and movies. Coming back to where the legitimate thing of whatever. Um, I would go and I would watch these films, and you'd have this principal or this side principal or therapist person, whoever, and like every single one of these kids would always have some kind of backstory with these people that don't make sense. Or normally they would have like some ghost story that's like, oh yeah, I know your father is the father of Monopoly or whatever. And so yeah, how is it that you have 8 bajillion kids and you've had such a rapport with some of these kids that you know them so well? And this is like the first time you should be really be meeting them. You should be stumbling on who their name is, who they are, whatever. Like the principal in so many movies would know every single kid in the school. It would be bizarre to me. I'm like, if anything, like there'd be so many teachers and whatever that I would have to help through my time that didn't know who my name was, or would ask for it later on as a polite way, just like, "Thank you for helping me, so and so." I'm like, "Yeah, appreciate it," but yeah, it's nobody knows anybody so freaking well that it's like that in a world which we live in. It makes no sense. Like nobody knows the whole entire back history of somebody in an environment like school. It makes no sense. Like a radio, like when like somebody does a podcast or a radio or whatever. Like when like they go into these things, podcasts, radios, and movies and stuff like that. It feels like they know this person's entire backstory. They know everything that's going on. Like they know that their friend is a douchebag or whatever. And it doesn't make sense. I've watched so many podcasts. I've watched so many like face to face kind of radio interviews, and everything is just kind of like they desperately, honestly have to ask the guest what is going on in their life because they have no freaking clue most of the time. It's just like, oh yeah, I heard that you're doing so and so movie. Tell me all about it because I don't know a thing. Tell me about like your life because I don't know anything about your life. Are you thinking about anything besides what you were doing 20 seconds ago, which was talking to me? Because I don't know a thing about you. It's like so there should be a disconnect, but there isn't in movies. It's bizarre. It's freaking bizarre. Generic movie titles. This will be a little bit behind the scenes, but it means a lot. When you have a movie that's called The Terror, you might as well just call the movie When like I know Stephen King did this a boatload. It's a clown movie. What is it going to be called? It. And I know, yeah, but it never made any sense. A girl about having a psychic ability, and she's going to kill everybody at her prom. What are you going to call it? Carrie. A killer car. What are you going to call that movie? Christine. Like it's basically like, hey, you know what? Instead of actually coming up with a legitimate name for a movie, I'm just gonna call whatever the main character is. This is a zombie movie. You know what I'm gonna call it? I'm gonna call it Phil. That makes no sense. That makes no sense. Um, and realistically, if like you, I'm sure there's so many like copyrighted things at this point. Like, say for example, zombies. How many times have has a movie called been called Zombie Apocalypse or Zoobies or um or bear zombie or something with the word zombie in it. It's kind of like you get to where your hands tied and you have to come with a very generic title. But the movie should somehow realistically not just be called The Terror, The Chilling. Like, if there's any aspect that's going on in this movie, tie it into the title. If somebody is consistently looking at their stopwatch, you could probably call it Watch for Zombies, Watch for Terror, Watch for Vengeance. The the TikTok, you could call it TikTok. Rip off the one app that's being successful lately. Bizarrely enough, that doesn't make any sense to call it TikTok. It makes no freaking sense, but it is what it is. Moving on. Movies with sex themes that have zero, nada, dill pickle, dildo, X0, nada, sex or nudity. You know what? When you have a movie that says in the description, prostitutes, if you have a description in the movie that says, hey, something sexually is going down in this film. Hey, somebody's been suffering from sexual things. Then why have absolutely nothing with that description in it? Like 50 Shades of Black. That movie is supposedly parodying 50 Shades of Grey. But I honestly and truly do not believe there is one lick of an actual sexual act legitimately garnering in that movie. It makes no sense. Like, basically, you're pulling off kind of like the whiz of 50 Shades of Grey. And then you're not going to do any sexual acts in the movie? Makes no real legitimate sense, really, legitimately. Really doesn't. Like, yeah, all of it is just crude humor or references of things, and it just stupid. Yeah, movies that right away give you a very sexual image right in front of the poster, and then kind of gives you like a sexual kind of like title. And then you go into the movie and it's just about a person who has a ball gag and like they're just in that movie for 2 hours. And I'm like, huh? If you're giving off a sexual theme, that's basically like clickbaiting people just to desperately go into your movie because you have nothing to really offer. You have nothing to really offer at all in this movie, but to treasure trove somebody to see if their scene that they're going to see is going to happen. And it doesn't. That has been showcased on your poster. Moving on. I fear explicit thing. I fear something, so I absolutely, in desperation, need to be in the environment which it is in, and I need to face this. I need to face this fear. Because heaven forbid I actually just not be in the environments in which these things are in. Hey guys, I have a fear of water. Well, guess where we're gonna go? Everywhere where there's water. And you're, by the end of this film, going to have to face this fear. Because nobody else can jump in the water and save the day. No one else but you. sadly enough, because all the men are just like too scared because they all die in horror movies. They all die, just so you're aware, just so you know. Yeah, it's just why is it that everybody has this strange and bizarre and unique fear that you should never ever have to have like a thing, an environment where you actually face it in. But sure enough, this movie gets trudged up. Yeah, you have a fear of heights. This character has a fear of heights. Yeah, you're gonna go into the highest places that we can possibly put you in. Because bizarrely, we have to have everybody in a certain environment that has to face their general fear beyond whatever extra fear they have, which is fighting a monster. It's just kind of like a double thing where it's like, yeah, I'm not afraid of monsters anymore, but I'm also not afraid of fear. I'm not afraid of heights. I'm not afraid of mouses. Like, I can understand there's some movies that do have that kind of like face your fear kind of movie, which does make sense. But any other time, it doesn't make sense. If it's not a face your fear movie, then it doesn't make sense. Why is this person throwing themselves into this fear knowing full well they don't want to face it? Annoying. Uh let's go on to characters with different hairstyles or hair colors. You know what? Whenever I've seen Bruce Wayne, whenever I've seen Bruce Wayne, he's always had black hair, jet black hair. And then you go to any Batman movie you've ever seen in your life. And I was just waiting for a blonde haired Batman. I really was. Just really spice it up a little bit. We'd get like black hair, brown hair, gray hair. Even though some person hair could have been black, it was gray, bizarrely, weirdly in this movie. And then we're just having all kinds of spectrums of Batman hair colors. Don't make sense, but they're there. If only we could get a red-haired Batman, a ginger Batman. That'd be pretty sweet, right? That'd be pretty sweet. Like, yeah, like in Zombieland Double Tap, one of the girls that's supposed to be a sister of the girl, all of a sudden in the sequel, she has blonde hair. Does make sense. Does make sense. And yeah, it's just like any other, like, there's so many sequel movies where somebody says, like, no, I'm doing some other else movie, so I'm not going to change my hair. I'm not going to cut my hair. So it ends up, like, baffling to just, like, why does this person have a different this in this movie? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. Especially when they're a family member of somebody. Like, what are they? Like, is that other family member gonna dye their hair blonde? So it makes sense now to this movie? Whatever. It's freaking confusing. And it's just like, you couldn't have just had somebody just for the sake of the movie just change this person's hair, had some kind of hairspray, change the color just for the movie, and then when they're off Calcutta anywhere, they can be blonde or brunette or whoever. Moving on, because that's a stupid little thing, but it's just annoying. Like when you have like John Connor, how many numerous hairstyles did he go through? Through all those Terminator movies. We got a blonde, like I was hoping for a blonde John Connor in that too. We had a freaking brown, light brown, black. One guy that looked very much military-esque. One guy that looks like a buzz cut Christian Bale. All kind of up and downs of freaking that. Like every single like John Connor time that they did John Connor, he looked freaking different every single time. There was absolutely no continuity followed for John Connor through the earth of time. It makes no effing sense. Party people don't know one another. You know how many times that we're in a party like background? I'm also going to get another fact, but whenever there's a party movie, there's usually one wall of people that are just kind of all standing up against this wall. And then you have a number of people that are just sporadically just sitting on couches or chairs or whatever. And realistically, none iota of any of these people actually seemingly know any one of these people. Because you would think more often than not, like everyone would know everybody and just be like, oh, hey, Steve, and hey, Bob, and whatever. But no, nothing happens. Nobody knows anybody. No one knows anybody. Everybody's just kind of randomly going through the life of this party. They don't know why they're there, but maybe they heard something. Because these people don't seem like they know people at all in parties or in any kind of environments ever. When you have a huge extras being involved in an environment, nobody knows anyone. No one knows anybody. Nobody knows. Generic dancing. You know what? When usually you have this hard beating music in the background, and people, you can clearly tell a ton of people just don't know how to dance. Not because they're white, not because they can't, because the music is being put in later on. So people have no clue what the music is going to sound like, so they're just awkwardly, weirdly dancing as if there's any kind of music being placed going on. And their movements just look so bizarre as if they're trying to um, do a dance to music that does not exist. It's obvious. It's obvious. It's like, hey guys, what music are we dancing to? I have no effing clue, but let's just keep dancing. Let's just do like the chainsaw. Let's do like the sprinkler, because I have no clue what thing that we're dancing to. I have no clue. And you can tell like the music is like off rhythm with all the people. They have no clue what they're dancing to. They have no clue at all. Because if anything, there's the more focus is the people talking and whatever, but the music is dimmed or turned off completely. Makes no sense. Monster extremely is hungry. Man, there's a monster that's so hungry. It's hungry all the time. But you know what it does? It has a little henchman that sends and gets food for him. How freaking bizarre is that? When you have a monster that is so lazy. Hey, like even in like Santa Clarita's Diet, in that show, Drew Barrymore turns into a zombie. It's been out for a while. See it, folks. It's good. But then she has her like husband kill people so she can eat. Or they kill people together, bizarrely enough. It's weird. It's weird. This guy has a mental breakdown because of it. But yeah, it's just why is this character extremely hungry but has hench people to get their food for? Like, if anything, it's not going to be like a fun romp to just kill a ton of people to savor this person. It's kind of like when the feed me Seymour, feed me, when the plant monster wanted some food and Harold and Rick Moranis was like feeding him like Steve Martin and all those other people. Why wouldn't the plant just go and just find food? Just root himself and just find food somewhere? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But yeah, it's just when you have like a mermaid, or when you have like a person that could easily go and find food. No, no, no. Food has to be brought to me. It's kind of like Thanos and his laziness to get his gauntlet. If you're hungry, go and get it. Go and make it. Go and do it. Go and whatever. Yeah. Moving on. This, I think, should be the last one. Luckily enough, because it's been an hour and 10 minutes. When people go and do a trip, do like a Euro trip or some other trip that people trip and fall and do, why is it? Why? When people go on a trip, you would think they would be spending days just looking at scenery, going to certain places, viewing all the sights and what have you. Stuff that makes that place tick. But instead, you have to go to the most dangerous places. Why? Why? I would like to know why. Why would you rather go to the most dangerous places on a trip? Hey guys, instead of us all going, seeing the sights, visiting statues, monuments, museums, all this and that actually makes this whatever unique place great. No, I'm going to send you guys to this biohazardous, very like weird, bizarre looking, like submarine bunker or something like that. I'm going to send you guys to that. You know what? I'm going to send you to this certain old crickety building that someone in the beginning of the movie told us to not go to and said numerous times over, do not go to this place. It is dangerous. You'll regret it. Don't do it. I would appreciate it if you chose not to go. I mean it. Believe me. You'll regret it for the rest of your lives, just so you know. And still, these people are just like, You know what? I could go to all 100 museums that are in this place to finally see something interesting. I could go to a bajillion restaurants and eat food that I've never eaten anywhere. I could go and I could go on a wave runner and just have a good time. I could do 800 bajillion things in an environment that would probably show like a Cancun. Like a Cancun that you probably have like 800 things probably going on during like spring break or something like that, unless you get the swine flu or some boogaloo disease that they had down there at some point when I heard about Cancun having something. And people were just like, oh, you can't go back to the USA because you have so-and-so thing. They're just like, oh, well, maybe you shouldn't have gone to Cancun for spring break. Or maybe you'll be happy that you didn't go to Cancun for spring break. But yeah, anyways, why? Out of 800 things that you could go to a place and go and see a site that is safe, completely 100% safe, your mind will be blown by the visual, or maybe you'll be thoroughly intrigued, go into 800 churches and then eventually become a nun because you were the last girl that won out of a horror movie. But instead, you're gonna go and you are gonna go into the one environment that you're guaranteed to die. You're going into one environment that 800 people are all going to say, yeah, that's dangerous. I heard 1,800 people died in that environment. It's kind of like the Camp Crystal Lake. It's kind of like Michael Myers' house. It's basically the same thing. When 800 people have told you 800 people have died in this camp, I know because I almost was one of them. But you're just like, no, I'm just going to turn this place around. I don't know what he's saying, but I'm just going to go to the dangerousest place this whole entire environment. Because I'm hoping that there's a drug deal there that I get to be seeing and being a part of. And then somebody's going to be firing guns at me. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to regret this for the rest of my life. Yeah, you're going to regret this. If somebody's telling you do not go there, there's probably something shady going on. There's probably something you should not be seeing going on. What is the attraction of the reverse psychology that someone tells you, do not go in the basement, there's a monster down there, and you just, I gotta go. I gotta see if this person is telling the truth. Don't go! It's not the end of the world if you don't go to a place that is super dangerous and you could probably die from and turn into a monster and then just kill 800 people. Because someone told you to not go down to the place that is dangerous. Would have thought, right? Would have thought. But yeah, it's just so many of these things. A movie goes and does. And we're still, like, and these movies were done within this decade. Within the 2000-ish of decade. And we're still going to the same old trope of somebody telling you, don't go into this hellaciously dangerous environment that you're going to regret for all of your lives. And person is just like, well, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. How about we just have a wave runner? Just do that all weekend long. No, let's go into this dangerous environment that he mentioned 85 times not to go into because I just gotta see it. I guess we're adrenaline junkies that are just like, well, like, if it was an adrenaline junkie, I can maybe understand that because it's like, well, I jumped off the Kilimanjaro or I skydived off the world and now I'm going here and you're telling me not to go to a place and not have a cool time? Sign me up, brother. Sign me up. But yeah, it's just, why do we do these things in movies? Why do we still do them? Why am I still any of these things I could mention from decades ago. Decades ago and we're still doing them today. Have we not learned anything in movies? Have we not learned anything? We haven't. We haven't. Even in the more intelligent movies that make us feel like we've learned something in this movie. Still, people have to make a dumb decision and then get the fruition of a smart decision. It is what it is. This movie is what it is. These movies are what they are. They'll never change. But keep doing movies about them. Keep doing videos about them. Keep doing remakes of the same old stuff. Because we still have not yet to learn a lick of anything when it comes to decisions of movies. I understand it's just like, well, if the person would have not have went to the dangerous environment, there would be no movie. Well, then set them up to be in that environment right away. Not have them go out of their way to find and get to this dangerous environment. It makes no sense. That is what makes no sense. And there's so many people that go murderously, ridiculously out of their way to find a scary environment. They GPS it. Oh, it's not on a map. Well, I gotta maybe just drive for hours to find it. This dangerous place. Because I have to go. I have to know what's there. Nothing? Great. It's kind of like 1408 when like Samuel Jackson is offering John Cusack, "Hey, I can give you the room right next door. You can maybe put your ear to the wall and hear what's going down on 1408." John Cusack's like, "No, don't give me that crap. I can give you the entire history of 1408. I don't want you to go in there. I'll give you testimonies, witnesses, whatever you want." And he's like, "No, it's not good enough for me." Just this stubbornness of people. Well, there's like actual literal paperwork that said 18 people have died in this room. It's not good enough for me. Hey, you want to go to Camp Crystal Lake? I heard 300 people died. Want to go? Sure, yeah, sounds like a good time. So, who mathematically thinks in their head, knowing a story of 100 people that have died in an environment sounds like a good time? Sounds like I should go there. Should try that. Should do that thing. Just to maybe dispel the whole disclaimer of all of it. No, I want to be the 801 person that didn't die in this environment. And then I'm probably going to maybe sell a book. I don't know. Who knows? Bizarre. Freaking people are bizarre. Like, I guess you could say it's like, well, that's like the same people that, like, they gotta go to a horror house. A horror house? A haunted house. A horror house. Maybe call it a horror house. I don't know. Whatever you want to call it. A haunted house. It's like the people that have to seek these haunted houses out and go through them. And some were legit effing scary. Why would I want to go in there? I could watch a horror movie. Be at my house. Do it for free. And then, on top of that, I could not have the fear of death looming. Not having the fear of death loom. Because I am safe in my own house watching a horror movie. I'm safe. I'm scared of what's going on, but yeah. Anyways, I talked for too long again in this video, so I gotta go because something scary is happening called the end of the video. So I'm gonna go. Goodbye, everybody. Bye, everybody.